I'm glad my colleagues put you in a respectful and religious mood. Because I consider this a shrine, actually. A shrine to the nature of meaning. There's a door there. If you actually walk down the hall a little bit, there's another door. It says men on it. And if you open it, there are these three magnificent objects. They have really sleek lines. They have different heights. And what they are postmodern urinals. They don't flush. There are certain things I don't want to know about the world. I don't think many of us, even though they're in an art gallery, and they probably cost a lot, I don't think many of us think they have meaning. Yet, somehow, there's this little object they've been talking about that relates to, allegedly, our friend Marcel went to the hardware store, took a modern urinal, not a postmodern urinal, signed it R-Nut, turned it on its side, and then we have something that fairly vibrates with meaning and has been vibrating with meaning for over a century. How could it do that? How could meaning be created out of chrome and plaster and glass? What a great mystery this is. Let me read a quotation from a man who was born 2 years later than Marcel Duchamp, Ludwig Wittgenstein, who I really thought this, looking at the door, this is something by his, two of his students wrote. They said about him, Wittgenstein once described the situation in philosophy thus: it is as if a man is standing in a room, facing a wall, in which are painted a number of dummy doors. Wanting to get out, he fumbly tries to open them, vainly trying them all, one after the other, over and over again. But of course it is quite useless. And all the time he doesn't realize it, there's a real door on the wall behind his back. And all he has to do is to turn around and open it. To help him get out of the room, all we have to do is get him to look in a different direction. But it's hard to do this, since wanting to get out, he resists our attempt to turn him away from where he thinks the exit must be. One more, much briefer quotation. When both my colleagues referred to the fact that Duchamp was a chess player, he was actually on the Paris chess team, on the French chess team. He played for the Paris club, and he also played for the French chess Olympic team. One of his colleagues there, who always played board number one, was a man who had the most wonderful name in the world. It just probably has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just like to say his name. His name was Grand Master Yevgeny Alexandrovich Znasko-Borovsky. He sounds like a character from a Nabokov novel. And actually Nabokov made up chess problems, composed chess problems, and dedicated one of his chess problems to Grand Master Yevgeny Alexandrovich Znasko-Borovsky. But in a real book, I'm not making this up, called How Not to Play Chess, Grand Master, you know this, said, the great privilege of our game is that there is nothing hidden. Everyone can see that all is on the chessboard. No piece can remain unnoticed. All one needs to do is to be able to see. All one needs to do is to be able to see. Now, Grandmaster Znasko Borowski obviously wrote in Russian. This book, How Not to Play Chess, was originally written in Russian, but then Borowski translated it into French himself, but supposedly Duchamp took it and translated it into more elegant French than the Grandmaster was capable of doing. But what is it that the Grandmaster, what is it that Wittgenstein, what is it that Duchamp wants us to see in this shrine here? My own view, what I want Marcel to want you to think that you're seeing is this great, great mystery in philosophy. As you know, I think from Harry Potter, there's something called the Philosopher's Stone. And the Philosopher's Stone allegedly could turn a vulgar metal like iron into gold. This always struck me as a particularly vulgar use of the honorific title, philosophy. It seems much more amazing to me, and actually a source of genuine, constant wonder that material objects, that I have sound waves coming from my mouth, and yet they have meaning. There are scratches on the wall here, and yet they have meaning. We're creatures made of sinew and flesh and bone, and yet supposedly we have meaning, and one of the things we do is constantly search for the meaning of life. And where do we find the meaning of life? Well, I think we find it in the details. There's no great, overwhelming metaphysical answer. We have to look. If you look at the Mona Lisa, and I hope after I finish making sound waves come out of my mouth, maybe I'll actually go and look at the real objects, if they are real. LHOOQ, allegedly Duchamp took the Mona Lisa and painted a goatee and mustache on it. My favorite work of art of Duchamp's was made in 1965, many years after this. It's simply a postcard of the Mona Lisa, nothing altered, and the title, translated from the French, is The Mona Lisa Shaved. When I look at that magnificent work of art, I think of LHOOQ, and I believe it's the 39 years that have passed since the drawing of the mustache and the goatee and the shaving. What happened in those 39 years? There was World War II, and it all takes place somehow. All that simple postcard vibrates with the meaning of that terrible part of the century. It's in certain ways a gruesome work of art, but yet at the same time really, really beautiful. As we look at the details here, strangely enough, there's never been found an original of so many of the ready-mades. They were believed to have just been broken. So all we know about The urinal, the fountain, is from a photograph. And then Duchamp authorized various reproductions of it. There might never have been an original. Some of us think there never was an original. It was an early example of photoshopping, and he made the entire thing up. There's trick after trick going on here. The large glass in the middle. I studied Duchamp for years, and then I finally got to go to Philadelphia and see the large glass, which is just magnificent and huge. There's the bride pane and the bachelor pane, and the bachelors, alas and alack, never reach the bride. It's this constant striving. It's this constant looking for, what are they looking for? Well, my cruder colleagues say they're looking for sex. That's what happens with brides and bachelors. That might be. But I think they're really looking for the meaning of life. And I think somewhere, somehow, Marcel, strangely enough, painted it.